Aaron New Canaan. We'll first start with roll call. Green.
Leoni,
Doug Murphy. George Bennington. Keith Ritchie.
David Shay.
Lindsay Aaron, Brittany Singer,
Jim Papa.
Melanie Kern.
Gene Goodman. Thank you for coming out on this balmy night. Okay, we will first start with approving the minutes from our December 11th meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Doug. Is there a second? Thank you, Keith. All those in favor?
I was not present.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Abstentions? Understood. So carried. Okay, I would also like to add just a quick, we have to approve this as a motion first. We have to approve our meeting schedule for this coming year. So I'd like to make a motion to add this to our agenda for tonight's meeting, that our meeting schedules for 2025 of this commission. Is there a motion? Dean, thank you. Tim, second. All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Okay. And then the last one is we need to approve the meeting schedule. It's a two-part for 2025. Basically, this follows, it's the second Wednesday of every month with no meeting in August. Okay. Motion. Thank you, Gene. Lindsay, second. All those in favor? Okay, so carries. Thanks, guys. That was quick. The second item on the agenda is the proposal for the Rockets and Ice Cream event at Waveney.
I don't know where he is.
Hmm?
Sean said he was coming.
Okay, then we'll move on to the next item. We can get here. The Bristow Sanctuary, the signage for that. Neither Sarah nor Robin could make it tonight, but John and I talked. We think we have enough information for this to present to you and seek approval. It's something that, John, you want to take over from here?
Yeah, they basically want to change the signs as you go into Bristow Park to be the park signs, you know, the brown signs with the white lettering and white thing around them. But also add in, since Land Trust is overseeing it, a small sign underneath that is an Land Trust sign, which is white, I think brown letters on it, just a little bit different. And they put a little logo on there as the Land Trust.
Right.
So it's gonna improve it compared to the one that we kind of refer to as the water park sign. The bright blue and everything else that's down at the meat park. So and there'll be one sign there instead of two.
Okay.
So it's gonna be, it's gonna be a great addition or a great change.
Does anybody have any questions of John before we move forward for a proposal? Formal proposal? Can't talk. Okay, is there a motion to approve? Keith, thank you. Second, Lindsay, thank you. All those in favor? So carries. Okay, thank you. Regarding the garden club, they asked to push that to February as they're working on their proposal. Okay, so that'll be moved to February. And so we'll go right to the fees for the rec programs and waiving usage. So I'll turn this over to John.
So we sent 2 pages out to you with the agenda. These are, what happens is the Park and Rec Commission, if you guys approve something tonight, I'll send a memo to the Board of Selectmen saying that you approved it. The Board of Selectmen actually sets the fees. And they want to do that in the budget process in the next few weeks. So basically, if we start with the town of New Canaan revenue, the draft one that's purpose for the recreation fees. So the first one up there is the Waveney pool fees. It's been many years since we've changed any of the pool fees, and what we're finding is our surplus money is dwindling. We had to pay to redo the parking lot. We got a 21-year-old pool. We're going to try to have it evaluated this summer, and we don't know exactly what type of costs we're going to have. But since works all by itself, it's self-sustaining by itself, we feel that we need to raise the fees. So.
Is there a capital reserve that's being accumulated while you're collecting the fees?
There is capital reserve. This will add about $60,000 depending on the number of members to how much we bring in.
Incrementally.
Yes,
And what does that bring the total to after?
we had that conversation in the budget meeting at the selectmen's level, and the finance department could not tell us. Yeah, so, we're waiting for an answer for that. So, I'm waiting too. It was up over $1 million, but it has gone down over the past few years.
So can you tell us, what are the current fees and what are the,
If you look on there,
Yeah.
the first column is the fee as of right now. And then the blue highlighted is any fees that we're thinking of changing.
Before we move on, to David's point, then should we understand that the, increment on the fees are to be allocated exclusively to, our, capital budget?
No,
Or not necessarily?
not necessarily, because they don't go, anything that comes into the pool stays at the pool. And also, any expense we have at the pool has to be paid out of that same account.
Okay.
So it's a standalone account. It's self-supporting,
Okay.
so to speak. So any extra money we raise will eventually be used at the pool itself.
Okay, but it could be for, regular expenditures for maintenance or
Or-
eventually improvement.
Yes, the money that comes in funds our operating budget and also any capital repairs we need to perform.
Would that then make sense to say that you have some concept here that this increase, some of it will increase the amount put aside in the future versus what you're putting?
Yes, that's approximately 60,000 more than we've
But
been
that's a
putting. aside.
guesstimate. If you have a lot of heavy expenses that are unexpected, then in fact that 60 would be less, and likewise, if you go under budget, that 60,000 might be greater.
Right, more on the capital expense side, like if a pump goes tomorrow, the large pump. Yeah,
Then you get
not tomorrow
then
really,
you
because it's
get
winter.
a free drag on your free grab, if you will, on your reserve pump goes. Yeah.
Yeah, right,
So to speak,
exactly.
okay.
Do you think that this 60,000 is enough? I mean, just with the way expenses are, that doesn't always seem like, and, 495 versus 500 or,
It's about 60,000 with the amount of members we have,
Uh-huh.
more than we've been bringing in.
no, I understand.
So
that,
in
but I'm just
general,
saying-
we're positive. Yeah, in general, we've been positive to have a few years ago over $1 million after paying off the whole construction of the pool and everything else. I think that will be enough. Without making a shocking change too.
right, when was the last time we increased the fee?
I think like 5 years ago,
At least.
at
Because
least.
that's not a very big increase.
No.
That-
No, if you amortize it over 5 years. Should we be asking for more?
Well, that's why I'm like 500 versus 495, like, is anyone gonna?
This is open for discussion. We can make changes. I'd love to walk out of this meeting tonight with approval with fees, just so that the selectmen have it. They've asked for it. Fee recommendations.
I guess I'd say, I'd rather see like this kind of level fee for the 1 year. And then maybe we just put on the calendar to come back next year or the year after, so we don't skip 5 years.
Well,
Because
we
if
do
inflation's
come back
gonna
every
run
year with
higher, we need
fees.
to Do it more regularly, is all I'm saying.
We do come back every year with fee. You guys have to approve.
No, I know, but I mean, with a proposed increase.
Oh, sure.
So instead of like trying to do a 25% increase every 3 or 5 years, do a 3 or 5% increase every year. So people kind of feel like, okay, my wages went up 3 or 5%, so, it makes sense.
Kind of a CPI type.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it goes down easier.
Yeah, I would agree, we should not do this once every 5 years.
Okay.
And I know that there has been historically some pushback in the sense that we're not running a country club, this is more tax supported, okay? We have to be very sensitive to that. I think these increases are very incremental. And I think can be very easily absorbed by a resident or non-resident, per se. But I think to that point, we probably at this meeting every year, probably need to maybe again, another incremental raise.
Sure.
So,
Okay, but I like this.
I do too.
Yeah.
I might add, by the way, I was speaking to a non-resident who said they missed it because they didn't do it on time and it was, the non-residents was sold out so quickly. And soon be.
That's not really true, only because we do a lottery. So everybody that's interested in it has to let us know. And then he gets to pick names out of the hat. And it's truly a lottery, so you could be a non-resident, a member this coming year, but the year after you might not win the
Okay,
lottery.
but the same point though is there's more people wanting to be in the lottery than winners, if you will, so.
Oh, there's a lot of people that want
So,
it,
so effectively, the price is not scaring them away at all.
Right.
not at all, right? You know, who we can, some people you call up, or B calls up and says you won the lottery, and they say, no, we don't. Or they don't send their money in time,
But
they
there's,
lose
but
their
there's
chance.
plenty of people left who didn't win the lottery as well.
Oh, yeah, we make a lot of people disappointed.
If we pick 100 families, we probably get 300 requests.
Yeah.
Now, what was the logic in the increases? Was it stay within a certain percentage or,
I'm not,
because it kind of jumps around?
it does jump around. There was no true logic as far as saying, let's go with the percentage, that type of thing. It was, more looking at different ones, like the senior one, we didn't want to change. History, we wanted to hit the non-residents a little more than the residents still,
Right.
so.
As a percentage, are there more non-residents that rent Waveney House than residents, or in terms of like outside events, for weddings and whatnot? Is it
About, for weddings and stuff, about 50/50.
50/50? Okay. Gotcha.
Does the waiving fees also cover Kiwanis? I know I see you have, you have lines of Kiwanis, but if I get a waiving pass,
If you buy a Waveney Pool Pass, yes, you can go to Kiwanis.
still.
You do not need to do not need to buy a separate Kiwanis pass. We'd rather have more people come to Kiwanis than less.
And Kiwanis family permits not going up, all non-residents going up $15, you know,
The only increases are what's in blue.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you get for non-family Kiwanis, you went from 115 to 135, and it's not blue.
That should have been in blue, Gene, you were correct.
But better here than someplace else. by the way.
Is there any other questions for John or any other comments?
So I just have a last one,
Yeah.
just to make sure I understand, because this is sort of my first time with this exercise of setting fees. So for what I understand is you are budgeting for the needs that we're gonna have going forward, operating budget and capital budget. And then based on that, we're revising them, the fees, you're allocating them again according to
Yes,
the criteria just described, but it's really. You're looking at those costs, let's say, as you are reflecting upon where the. Fees should be set, right?
yes, and, you know, like, when you go down to the Kiwanis permits, actually, the paddle tennis, the tennis courts and the pickleball, that goes into the self-sustaining fund. So we could bring in more money and that would help us in the self-sustaining fund. But we don't need to. We try to run that balance per se, 100,000 of the profits we make per se goes back to the town to offset other costs. So,
Thank you, because I think I would agree with Keith and then George that as these increments are reflecting all that's happening within Parks and Rec, that if we do this exercise every year, we're kind of more on top of the different costs and
Okay.
different needs that this fund.
that sounds good. Maybe a suggestion, if it's fine, is we'll give you the present fees in like November. And you guys can review them and then we can figure out these together too.
Sure.
That,
Yep. Absolutely.
so that's the first part. And then the second one is Waveney House rentals, mainly for weddings. That's the second page. The proposed is in the blue. Except down the bottom is highlighted. I don't want you to pick on me. So these are the costs for, if you were to rent Waveney House for a wedding, et cetera. Of course, there's a difference between residents and non-residents.
So, what are the rules around the deposit? Let's say you put a deposit down and now it turns out your dates change, or a couple breaks up or something awful. I mean, how much time do you have to turn it in, let you know by to get your deposit?
Non-refundable.
Non-refundable, and you can see one thing that's
Yeah, I
gone
saw
from
that.
850 up to 2,000. What's
Yeah.
happened is we've been getting quite a few deposits and they don't have to cancel. 2 weeks later, so they wait until they have to make their first payment and then it's too late to rent to another couple.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if you had like a sliding scale, or as if they let you know 3 months before the event.
3 months isn't enough. Unfortunately, we're booking weddings for 2026. Yeah, so the problem we run into, and that's why we raised that up, is the
Yeah.
fact that we gotta make it hurt a little bit. If you're gonna make a deposit,
Yeah.
you're gonna either be there or we're gonna have at least a good portion towards what the rental fee would. Sure.
Should it hurt more, John? Seriously.
Well, all
think
fees
more-
are due within, 3 months before the event anyway, so if they don't tell us then,
John said
and
it's
they
too late.
pay,
though.
they lose.
Yeah, and at 3 months, if they're putting down 2,000, I think it will. When you're looking at a wedding and potentially spending,
Tens of thousands.
yes, exactly, 850 is not much. You just say, okay, we'll put down 850 here and 1,000 there, and we reserve 3 places.
Right.
And then we'll decide which one.
Pardon me, I don't mean to be diverse here, but, again, let's say, people, you think you're gonna have your daughter get married this coming June, and they postpone it till October. Can you?
We
push
can
the
work with them a
deposit
little bit
off?
on changing dates, but a lot depends on when it is. If it was to come in June, no, it's too late because we're not gonna be able to rent them. So, but with that said, they're not gonna be able to go into October anyways because it's already booked.
Okay, but if they could go into a date that was open, if they're willing to push it off 6 months, say. So so your test is whether or not you can lease it to somebody else, rent it to
Right,
someone else.
that's the biggest thing. We don't like, the deposits don't come back, you signed up for it, it's in the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
I
job.
think that seems totally reasonable.
I know, well, the contract I don't think is overly unfair,
And a lot of deposits are much higher than this. If you do a private club rental or something like that, it's really much higher.
George, a comment on that?
Yes.
Follow-up? Having been in the catering business too, by the way, and we typically charge, and most carriers charge a 50% non-refundable deposit. I would suggest you up it higher because we're in the same boat when we do that. Also, as a landlord, same boat. If someone says they want the place and I take the deposit down, you can't rent it on short notice, and 3 months is not short notice. Most people plan their weddings much more than 3 months in advance, so I would suggest that you go higher.
I was worried that, if we look at some of the resident rates, we're at $4,000. Depending on the day. So that's why we're thinking to go that much.
Well, that's penalizing us though for giving them a very generous rate.
I'm fine, again,
Could you make it
we can make
50%?
changes here.
Well, could we do
Make
Gene's
change.
proposal, basically make it 50% of whatever the cost would be?
Well, we
I'd
did,
rather keep it the same number.
we did review comps in the area, so we don't wanna outprice ourselves. And not, offer anything greater.
Where's the stand in terms of comps? I mean, we just
Well, I'm sorry, but like, DC House in Darien, Lonsberry. and, We're right in line with. and-
We're in line with the rental. As far as the deposit, I'm not sure exactly where we stand.
Well, could we do 2,000 for residents and 2,500 for non-residents?
I'd sooner say, let's go 2,500 for everybody. It's easier for us to have the exact same deposit.
Yeah, I understand it's easier for you.
It's a lot easier,
I know, but I still think residents should get kind of a better price.
Residents are getting a
than
better rate in
non-residents.
terms of.
Well, they are getting a better price.
Like,
Well,
I
it's
don't
just
think they should be
But it's
like
the
off the
deposit.
hook
Not
for
the deposit.
changing their
Just,
mind.
but then if they're getting a better price and the deposit's the same, it's,
There's some-
Yeah.
there's
I mean, if we want to amend this to, non-refundable deposit of 2,500, I think that would be. Is everybody in agreement on that?
I'd leave it at, if, to me, the 2,000 is 50% of the 4,000 for residents. So you're at 50% for residents. That's why I would have one one charge for residents, 2,000 and 2,500.
These
for non-residents.
these same people, by the way, are paying a much greater deposit to their caterer, whether they're a resident or not. I mean, again, if you look at the list they're taking. With a caterer, they're gonna get more than $2,000 from the caterer.
I can agree with this, Gene. Having a daughter, she better not be watching. Who stopped the wedding?
I'd like to see a lower rate for residents and for non-residents.
But we do have a lower rate.
Well,
With
I
lower
understand-
rental rate. It's really only the money up front.
But Joe, what is the capacity of the Waveney House, just for me to compare to other venues?
160 people is what we said.
And are we fully booked? I mean, what is the demand? right
We
now?
are fairly well booked for next year. And when I say that, it depends on the time of the year. Waveney House is not the nicest place in the summertime without air conditioning. And also, you know, there's wedding seasons. Gene could attest to that. There's busy times, springtime and then the fall. So, you know, there's a slowdown, like right now, there's not much going on, partially because we're gonna be putting an elevator in now and we're gonna be closed. So by the time we open it up for bookings, it was too late.
Is there ever a conversation if there was capacity to maybe offer a bit of a favourable rate for, let's say, local charities that do fundraisers? I mean, I know a lot of local churches are just kind of renting spaces elsewhere, country clubs or.
There's some problems with, depending on how the fundraiser is run. We can't sell stuff. It's a simple thing, so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We do, and we do have a lot of dates. We have quite a few dates. I don't have it in front of me, but we have quite a few dates that are open up for town use. We take, you know, very simply off the top of my head, 2 weekends for the fireworks, where we don't have events. The post prom is held
I
there.
was gonna say the schools always get like a very discounted rate,
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah, so it's available for community use.
Yeah, the garden club uses it quite
Yeah,
frequently.
just think of all those, spring galas and all of those. local
Oh, they
events.
pay.
Oh, yeah, they pay too.
Yeah, no, they have to pay. I mean, I'm just thinking if there's any interest from. Just thinking about how. If we have the capacity and we are competitive in the space, where those dates are not weddings. If there was any interest.
Oh, yeah,
With,
there's definitely.
just a lot of these organizations that are, they have their annual galas.
Oh, yeah, we have quite a few things like that.
Fundraisers.
Yeah.
So it's not just weddings.
No.
We think of it as weddings, but because it's the majority is weddings, but it should be weddings and events.
And I assume, by the way, the charities are typically Buchanan oriented and they would get the not the resident rate. Well, how is a charity treated versus on that
They need to be, you know,
in Buchanan?
I should let B talk, but very simply, yes, New Canaan-based charities get a much better.
NCCF gets a better rate than the out of towners.
Definitely out of town charities, yeah, completely different.
It depends on the event. I mean, a fundraiser is a full contract. Some of the other sporting events and such are lesser hours, our contracts for 10 hours. Some of the other non-profit groups are doing things that are only 4 to 6 hours. So we work with them
Yeah, good.
for sure.
From what I'm hearing from the group, and noting Keith's, exception, here, but if we're all, with a non-refundable deposit of $2,500, is everybody in agreement on that?
No, I would suggest, I would prefer keeping it at 2,000.
And 2,500 for non-resident?
That's what I want. If we're not gonna have that breakage, then let's leave it at 2,000. I'd go with both.
Is there any issues with that here?
But what, oh wait,
So
wait,
that-
I
Diane,
still think we should keep it take it up to 2,500. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think that the residents are already getting a break on the rate. I think everything we've been hearing in terms of like the, not being able to rent, what the deposits are and all of that. I mean, I think it makes sense to take it to 2,500. So just a different opinion, but.
Yeah, I understand.
But can it just be 50%? And if you are a resident, you pay 2,000 if you're not.
You'd see that we have
And I'm just asking.
18 different rates there. Well, not 18 different rates, but
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, these are, I mean, how many cancellations you have? It's.
Too many.
You do?
Really?
Yes, that's the biggest problem. It's at 8:50, it's easy to book. And, you know,
Oh,
parents
right.
will write that $850 check and the daughter's happy and they go about their business and then they never pay the next one. It's too late. So that's the problem. That's why we feel we need to.
But that's the problem, maybe upping it to 2,000 will solve that problem.
And if it doesn't solve the problem, at least we have $2,000.
Right.
You know, instead
I mean,
of,
we can always raise it. to
850.
next year.
Yeah,
I just think.
I think
if
I
we're
think
raising it now,
writing a
we
check for
can do it.
2,000 is a lot more difficult than writing one for 850,
It
especially
is
when
for
your
me.
daughter
I
wants.
don't know about George, you know. But I mean, you know, we look at the increase, Lindsay, we're going from 850 to 2,000. So, I
It's
mean,
not-
that's like 130% increase,
Just for
right?
their.
But
Right.
nobody's gonna,
And it's because we're having issues.
Right,
yeah, to
but
make
I'm-
people-
and anybody that's
But
already
the
booked, it
2,000
doesn't
might solve
change.
that issue.
No, but, well. I've just been listening to all these people talk about the weddings and like costs are so high, even 2,000 doesn't really seem like. That's a huge percentage.
It's a drop in the bucket compared to what a wedding costs.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
this is very
And,
inexpensive.
and we're not charging them more. This is a deposit. They're saying I'm going
Yeah,
to do it.
it's just the,
And there's a resident rate, but non-resident.
yeah,
But
that's the only
non-refundable.
reason, but
So we
It's not
have,
refundable, it's not
That's
really,
not refundable, it's not-
it's not really a deposit, it's a prepayment.
right.
so I think we have there's two things we have to vote on here.
It's a
Is the first-
non-refundable deposit.
It
Yeah,
comes
it's
off
like a
the
prepayment.
rental.
And
It comes
with
off the
good reason it's non-refundable.
It's not like,
comes off the-
so like if you look at the resident Friday at 4,000, it's not like they're gonna be paying 6,000 or 6,500. The 2,000 or 2,500 comes off the 4,000.
Yeah. well,
So,
So I think there's two things we have to vote on. First, increasing the deposit from 2,000 to 2,500 resident and non-resident for the sake of simplicity. Is there a motion to do that? Lindsay, motion, Hank, second. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay.
Was in- are you-
All right, so abstentions.
Let's just see what happens.
So that carries, so $2,500, resident, non-resident. The second part of it is we need to vote on the fee proposal for next year. This will obviously be sent to the board of selectmen, who will make the final decision. Is there a motion to approve? Gene, thank you. Second, Tim, thank you. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? So carries. Thank you. Okay, thank you, John.
before I go into it, I have a feeling, Sean is from the Cub Scouts is not gonna come.
Oh.
You know, just, he's not here now.
Right.
Very simply, I can go through the dates if you want. It's
Sure,
something there-
if you feel comfortable with these,
Yeah,
yeah, we've approved this in the past.
Exactly.
So it's not new.
and basically,
Too, right?
yeah.
Yes, yeah,
So basically, it's the same thing they want to do before. They have a practice day of 4/29 and then 6/3 and 6/4. 6/3 would be their preferred day, and then if for some reason it's raining, or thunder and lightning, they go to 6/4. They do a great job.
Yeah.
They clean up after themselves. They don't cause any problems. It just works out well, and it's for the Cub Scouts. And they keep trying to get George and I to build a rocket. Fly it. So,
no. Yeah, it's been phenomenal, it's been very well attended. We've had no pushback or negative feedback from any residents or non-residents about this, so. Is there a motion to approve? Susan, thank you, motion, Doug, second. All those in favor? Opposed? So carries. Okay,
thank you.
all right, that's easy.
Yep.
And so then we'll move now on to John's report.
Okay, very briefly, yesterday we started the formal budget process. We presented to the Board of Selectmen, the Parks and Rec budget. They will be reviewing other budgets in the next, I think, 3 weeks, and then they turn those budgets over to the Board of Finance. So at the next meeting, I'd like to go through the operating budgets. It's the Board of Selectmen's budget. So until they decide what they're doing, we're not supposed to really go through it, per se. But the one thing that is in there that I saw Keith today and talk about, there's been a lot of talk about in the capital budget, for, yeah, the big plan that's in front of you for the viewing area, picnic area, and possibly 4 pickleball courts over by the paddle courts. So right now in our capital request, we have put money in there for 290,000 for the picnic area, raised platform plaza, which is basically what you see in the pink, but it would include that whole area, it's part of that. In the plan, you'll see, an additional, the dark brown paddle court. There was desire before to build a 6th court. Right now, we don't see the numbers that we need a 6th court, so it's in the design plan, but we're not seeking any money for that. One thing that we feel's happened is pickleball is taking. A lot of people are playing pickleball, and as long as we don't have bad weather, they're gonna continue playing pickleball. Right. That's what we think. So we don't see that, but we want to design it in case some period of time we want to put it in. The other part that you don't see in that plan, but it'd be to the right-hand side, would be where we would put 4 lit pickleball courts so that we could have people playing later into the evening and also sometimes early in the morning. And to build the pickleball courts, we're estimating at $200,000. So those two requests.
John?
Hmm?
Is enough demand?
I think there's more than enough demand.
Really?
Yes. Especially with the lit courts,
Yeah.
they'll be very busy. And in my opinion, it would be very nice to have 4 pickleball courts there. We don't have sound issues, so that's one reason why we don't want to light the ones down at Mead Park. Just because we don't have any neighbors. And also, the lodge is a beautiful building, and it will be used more of the year than just for the winter time. So,
Sorry, when you said to the right,
the
to
right,
the right of what, like to the right of the paddle hut
Yeah.
or,
Where on this diagram?
yeah,
you'll see what our picnic tables, you'll see there's 4 sets of small lines, then a bigger line.
uh-huh,
They'd be in that area. This was originally drawn before we even talked about bringing pickleball courts up here.
okay.
So,
Yeah, so John, about, I guess the sequencing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would have thought with the demand for pickleball, we'd be pushing every 200,000 for the pickleball courts, the numero uno. And then anything for this picnic raised patio area be a far distant second. Because if you look at the pickle courts, I don't think there's that much demand for the picnic and raised patio.
right,
I think you'd be surprised.
I play
Not.
paddle all the time, and normally we're playing when it's cold. No one
Right.
wants to be sitting around outside in this kind of weather.
Oh, for
obviously.
sure.
And so the only months that it might get used is the very beginning of the paddle season, which would be October, and maybe the end, which would be
well,
April.
while we were thinking about this, we were looking at, a few of the groups raised some money in memory of Steve Benko
Yes, I know.
to develop a picnic area over there. And that's the one thing Waveney's lacking, is any place to really have a picnic. People come up and ask, where are the picnic tables? We just don't have any. Bring your blanket, go sit in the
Playground, we were putting in picnic tables. I thought.
We will put some
It's in the dog. park.
benches around there.
No picnic
Yeah,
tables
you're
though?
right.
Oh, no, we might put some picnic tables around there, but
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Especially.
yeah.
I guess I don't think that this is a great area.
Yeah.
If that's what your audience is people who want to have a picnic in Waverly Park. This is the last place I would want to have a picnic. I mean, you've got all the fields, you've got the, the great field on the other side of Waverly Park. That's where I would want to have my picnic if I were having a picnic.
that's fine. The capital budget hasn't been presented yet. That, we did the operating budget yesterday. Capital budget we do with, when the DPW goes, I'm trying to say the 21st, Ryan.
I think the 23rd.
So, if the commission wanted to say, we don't want a picnic area this year. I don't think the Board of Selectmen would be very upset if we pushed it out a year.
Well,
Well, I agree with you though, Keith, that the that the pickleball courts, it's just really
That's the
the
priority.
priority of
Yeah.
like how we're spending it. Not that we don't wanna spend money, John, and push it out next year,
Yeah,
but just to,
yeah, I have people
and I
come to
think
me.
the
"When do
pickleball
we get
courts
these
would
pickleball
drive.
courts?" And,
Yeah.
it sounds like you don't get the pickleball courts unless and until you get these picnic raised patios.
They're sitting separately in the budget, and we can do them separately. The last thing that needs to happen here, the parking lot has to be redone. Because unfortunately, it's too sloped for ADA compliance, so that has to happen anyways. That's a separate thing, that doesn't hit
It never ends.
Parks and Rec budget per se, that comes under either the town's paving plan or the ADA money that they have.
And I see here that we will be losing parking spots, right? There's like a bit of a grayish line, so where the new court will be.
We will lose some, but I believe it was around 6.
It's tough to turn around.
Because, I mean, I think,
Yeah.
I mean, again, we
Yeah,
are
closer
planning
to
to
19.
add picnic area and more things, but you're kind of reducing the parking spaces. then
Yep.
You kind of have to find the right.
Well,
balance,
and
right?
that's the thing, if we could always make the decision to say, we don't wanna change the parking lot with the number of spaces. Then that virtually eliminates the 6 paddleball court.
I think the courts are wanted and there's a lot of demand. I think, I'm just thinking about.
It would,
It's a very ambitious that you wanna attract, again, more people with the tables and the patio and you're reducing the parking lot, so what's the balance? I mean, I have young kids, I would, I'm not sure this would be my favorite spot to sit on the picnic table because it's too close to the road. And they, they're running, they're playing, but again, that would be my only comment. I think if maybe if we're reducing the parking spaces and you're adding more courts, then maybe you don't want to have a picnic area there. I mean, just in terms of parking, convenience, but it's. I'm sure you have the numbers and you can run this. And
yeah,
so-
you're completely right, pickleball takes a lot of parking spaces in general. 4 adults are playing on a court.
Yeah.
They usually come all in separate cars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll meet you there.
It's New Canaan, right? Yeah.
We don't necessarily need to vote on this,
Definitely don't.
but is the preference to postpone the picnic area for another year and prioritize pickle?
Yeah, and can we put in the form of a motion that to express a preference?
I think we put that in the minutes,
Pickleball courts
yeah.
be, that proposal be done first. And then only after that has been approved. Then do we go to the patio and picnic area?
So you'd be thinking another year.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
So-
That's fine.
so if I have that as a motion, do I have a second for that?
Can we put a study in to see where a picnic area should go ideally, rather than just postponing?
Well, let's stay with just that our first priority is to do the pickleball courts.
Yes.
I think it's express the feelings of this commission.
Right, and I think Dave raised a good point, because if we're gonna have a picnic area, do we want it there or with the new, potentially new playground, do we want a picnic area there?
Yeah.
Across, okay?
Yeah, where people can go and watch their
The
kids play.
kids play and have something to drink, and that would be, because the paddle players and the pickleball players have the paddle hut.
Right, which is where we hang out.
When that's where you hang out, okay? And you're not gonna hang out outside, so that's kind of takes care of that picnic area. Or do we shift it? Yeah, and across
I think that's a great idea.
across the field, not across the pond, but, across the field.
Yeah.
Will there be space though? Because I mean, I think Ryan, until you don't have your final budget, you don't know how big the playground is gonna be, right?
Yeah, there would be space for picnic tables in the grassy area.
There will be.
Yeah.
Gene?
I would suggest that there's probably other spaces for picnic tables as well, for instance, behind Latham as an example. And I'm not saying I have a preference for that, but I think I'd like.
I mean, once the baseball field is done.
His idea, it's not the time or the place for the picnic area, that it's premature to jump to, it should be at the playground as an example. I think this is a big decision,
Well-
just like this was decided here today, be inappropriate. That we should leave that to John and Keith or whoever to come up with some suggestions as to where it should be, as opposed to say it should be at the playground area. That's,
The other thing that we put in the capital budget request is a pavilion, so basically just a roof. Over near the bathroom area, going out to Dirt Road, where the skating rink is now.
Right.
Going out to Dirt Road, you probably see our big tent that we put up for summer camps out there.
Yep.
So it would really help us in summer camps, but it also could be used throughout the year.
Right,
That's a
Sure.
great idea.
Great idea. So I think what I'm hearing is the preference is, number one, priorities, pickleball courts, 200,000, the 290. The picnic area needs further discussion.
Very good.
And to see kind of where the optimum place would be. I think also, if you want some, in terms of the progress on the playground, where are we on that?
We're still in the fundraising process.
Fundraising, okay.
Yes, so, until we, continue with that, we don't really have an update right now,
Mhm.
so. But that's where we stand, so we're
Okay.
looking to have another meeting. The holiday kind of slowed things down,
Sure.
but looking to have another meeting soon, so.
Okay.
I have a question, and remind me, maybe you've explained this, but in terms of the footprint that the playground's gonna have, is that set? Or is that depends on the equipment that you're gonna put there?
Correct, so that's based off of the amount of money that we could fundraise, so,
So you can already start to do anything until you know what you're gonna budget, and then you know exactly what is the equipment they're gonna buy.
correct. It's,
But you've done a lot already though, right? I mean, I go by there with all that new equipment there.
yes, so
Right.
the current fitness area, that's the fitness area that's there now, and then the old fitness area. All that equipment will be removed. And, it'll be, we'll put topsoil down for the time being until the new playground is installed, and it'll be in that area, so.
Can I change the subject? Do we have an update on the baseball field? Just out of curiosity.
That's the only other thing that I really had to report on, except that things are going well. The baseball field is moving forward. The contractor has been complaining about the weather a little bit. There's about 6 inches of frozen ground out there. They expected that building the field, but as of right now, they're still on schedule
Great.
for April 1st.
Wow.
Wow. But, yeah, the turf has been ordered, the carpet per se has been ordered, and everything's still moving. But it's a cold day up there to work today, though, with the wind and everything, so.
Right.
You know,
And if we
Is
start,
the- I'm sorry, is the contractor, then responsible for reseeding or redoing something for like the amount of space around that was like disturbed so that they could put, you
Yes.
know, whatever, the drainage and the huge piles of
Every bit
dirt
of
and all that?
like
They're
right
responsible for
outside
that.
our windows here, the back lawn is where a lot of the water detention basins are going. And when I say basins, they're all underground. And so that they're required to bring that back, seed it, et cetera. And like the big, huge pile of topsoil you see out there, that's outside the new field. But that has to be all.
Right, that was my concern. I just wanted to make sure they were responsible for restoring those areas.
Yep.
George, is your own resolution or something on the?
No, there's no resolution, it's already, it's just,
It's
been
a
a
simple,
report.
Okay.
I'll send an email.
Yeah.
Include you, George.
Yeah. Exactly.
Start with Friday.
Any questions for John?
Just in this, to you and John, since we're talking about the picnic areas here in Waveney. It makes sense to have a global plan for picnic areas in the park. For example, I'm thinking there might be a couple of picnic tables near the community garden. You know, and people are going there doing their stuff, might be a nice place for them to meet.
Right.
I don't know if it makes any sense for Irwin, parts of Irwin.
We're down to one picnic table at our.
Right, yeah, so I'm just wondering, should we have a global plan? I mean, does that make sense?
It would be great to have, a plan for all of our parks.
Picnic table plan.
Picnic table plan, no, just in general, but, it's very expensive.
We only got one, you see, we
For
have
like
a plan
benches, a lot of
where,
groups
if you're
buy them
thinking about
As
this,
memorial.
where picnic tables go in our parks.
And like the memorial benches, that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, mission along a number of years ago.
Let me raise sort of, a question. The $290,000 for the picnic table. Picnic area, because that required a lot of construction, would it be beneficial to potentially shift those dollars to the playground? And have picnic tables, or in other words,
Probably not,
okay,
which I better talk to you offline. about.
okay,
It'd be nice, but no.
separate line item,
Then 290,000 is a budget estimate. We have no approvals so far.
right,
They haven't,
okay,
they haven't even seen it yet in public per se.
gotcha, okay, so
So
with
they-
that, that's,
They have the budget materials, but they haven't talked, we haven't talked about it.
right,
yet.
I'm thinking of ways to help Ryan fast track.
It'd be nice, but I don't.
No, it's a
possible.
totally, yeah, it's a different line item, okay,
Yeah.
just, it was just an idea.
Yeah, it's one Ryan would like and I would like.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's,
Hey, John, last question out of left field. I think the homemade boat regatta was a success last year in Kiwanis.
Mhm.
Is that gonna be done again, and who's gonna be behind that?
The library was behind it,
The library?
you know, yes, our summer camp went and did it, but the library organized it. So, and I think they will do it again. I think it was a pretty popular event. It was fun to see people sing.
Okay, so not to worry,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen, okay.
I think it will happen.
all right,
Yeah.
gotcha, okay. Any further questions for John? Okay. Then we'll go on to my report, which is, as usually, it's always extremely brief. First, I'd like to welcome our two new members, Brittany Singer. Welcome, and David Che. Welcome. As some of you know, in early December, the Board of Selectmen dissolved the 4th of July committee. Okay, and that committee now will be a subcommittee of Parks and Rec. Okay, that has really moved from sort of a, I'm gonna say a private event, but a sort of a kind of its own, from budget and its own P&L under the town's budget. Okay, David has nicely offered to chair this subcommittee. If some of you would like to be on the 4th of July committee, please contact him. Okay, I'm going to talk with Dave and John afterwards about a 4th of July committee meeting. There's some other people that have been on this committee for years and years, who would probably like to continue to be on it if you guys, if you guys would like to do that. But again, does anybody need any further explanation about that? We went through this in the December meeting, but if anybody wasn't here, anybody needs clarification on that?
Just, and this is a question of, that 4th of July group, they like had representatives from different bodies, didn't they? Like,
Correct.
yeah, so you're gonna try to kind of collect some of those still?
Right, well, the subcommittee, Dave will have regular meetings and involves the police, EMT, EMS, CERT.
Do you want me to run through it?
Sure, yeah, by all means, yeah.
Okay, hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you. This is rather august group. Tom Stadler and I met, and John met, and I met with Tom later, and we looked at the existing committee, and I got feedback on how it was functioning, and how it was not functioning, and that a lot of the work ended up falling on 1 or 2 or 3 people. And then what we were looking at doing was to organize a committee, look at the leadership again, and try to get a group in there that was organized, action-oriented, take responsibilities seriously, work under a project plan with a calendar, and have open and clear communication. So I brought this plan in, and I have run, just for experience, I've run the St. Mark's Mayfair for about 4 years. And that was at one point the largest single-day fair in Connecticut. So I do have experience with herding cats. I'll be happy to share this if everyone thinks it's appropriate, circulate it, but the committee is headed up by the Parks and Rec under administration, committee member for safety and security, marketing and communications, entertainment, food and beverages, operations, and then we have one we're looking at volunteers and staffing. What I have found is that one of the most important things you can do is recruit and recruit well. You know, you bring good people, the organization will go, and that's one of the key points. So we had this meeting, everybody seemed to agree that on the surface, it was logical and made sense. Now I have to go out and with your help, recruit people for these positions, and then those people will work with the staffing and recruiting and bring people then. We'll assemble a project plan, understanding the interdependencies of certain areas. But I think the great thing about this, and one of the reasons I decided to do it, is that it's coming under the town. And it's no longer a volunteer thing. So that there's a little bit more gravitas associated with operations and requests. And access to resources. And I think with the 250th coming up. This next year in 2025 is a great chance to work through some of the kinks, make it work. And then have an absolutely spectacular 250th celebration. So, yeah, any quick questions or? Yeah, I'd like to send this out to.
And by all means, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I'll
I
just-
think
It's gonna get drafted all over it, but who
If
knows
you want,
what
you can,
eventually-
if you send it to B or myself. He's great at getting everything out to everybody.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful plan. Dave did a terrific job presenting it to Deanna last month. And Tom Stadler will obviously be one of the key people that will stay on this committee because he's been doing it for the last 14 years. And will help out. And but again, if you all would like to participate or know people that would be active participants, that would be terrific.
I'd like to participate, I can reach out.
Yeah.
I'm interested in also in safety aspects of, the organization too.
Yeah, safety and security.
Yeah, and just.
Yeah.
It would definitely help, I don't know, at what capacity, so once we meet, since we will, everything is helpful.
Yeah, safety and security, police, fire department, CERT, EMS, parking lots set up, emergency management, you know, staying in contact with those parties. Marketing communications, marketing relations and content, merchandising. One opportunity we talked about was 6,000 to 8,000 people. The website and event signage and the flag. Things like that. That's just nice.
Right.
Great.
And I think after this meeting, you know, John, just have a quick cover to have our first committee meeting if you want to do that. Or just, or, you know,
Sooner
small
the
group
better.
and then see how we can.
Sooner the better.
Yeah. Great. Any questions for, yeah, and then obviously, I have put out the subcommittee assignments for this year. Follow pretty much the same format as years past. I will be in contact with you guys before each meeting to see if you can prepare any data that's like how tennis court usage, updates in the parks. Next meeting, it's gonna be chock a block full with a lot of different presentations from outside groups like the Nature Center, probably do the Athletic Foundation, and a couple of others as well. We have a lot of different Nature Center come in and present annually because our jurisdiction, we have a lot of touch points in town, okay? And so we serve as kind of an advisory consultant role, but we still have obviously a lot of people who need to know what's going on. Okay, like Nature Center, for example, the town owns the property and the buildings, okay? But every year Bill Flynn comes in and does an excellent job of going over the different programs that they have there, which is great. And God forbid if something ever happens to Nature Center, which we hope never ever happens, that it would then fall under us. If there's a potential part. So that's just to kind of give some explanation. While we have some different outside groups that come in, particularly with the Powerhouse and the Carriage Barn, to fly they're here on waiving. But they're their own standalone nonprofit. So, are there any questions for myself? The next meeting will be on Wednesday, February 12th. If there's no other questions, is there a motion to adjourn? Second, all those in favor? Good meeting, guys. 55 minutes. All right. Oh, is there any motion, comments from the public? I'm sorry.
didn't
Could
put
I
it.
just ask a question?
Sure, Betty.
This is Betty Lavastik. Francesca served as secretary, and since she's no longer on the commission, will you appoint somebody else to replace that position?
Yes, Susan's gonna be our secretary.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Well,
Thank you, Betty.
and at some point in time, Deanna will come in and
Right.
ask her about it.
Motion, Jack. She usually does that at the February meeting, but no,
It's,
sure.
depends on her schedule.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, right, but otherwise.
Okay. We'll improve officers. So, appreciate everyone's time and look forward to a great year, great year. Yeah.
It's me off.
So.
This is an extra.